Hello, everyone, and welcome to another episode of USI's Tech Talks. Today, we have a very special guest from Buckeye Pipeline, Jeff Brown. He's here to talk a little bit about his experience with Unconventional Solutions and specifically our Resichem 555 Pop the Top and Go corrosion protection product. Jeff, would you mind telling us just a little bit about yourself and your role at Buckeye and like what you've done in the corrosion industry thus far?
Yeah, I've worked for Buckeye for over 30 years now. A lot. It started out in electrical, and since I've moved on to corrosion. Been using your product, Doug. You're going to have to help me with this. I don't know how many years it's been since we first started, but we started off mainly with this Resinox. Using it for touch-up work, and really that's the main thing we use it for. But it's been a very good product for us. It's served a purpose. We had so many areas in our facilities where they had project come in and they'd weld a fitting on the pipe. Bare fitting, cleaned off a spot on the pipe to weld. Never come in and paint because it's too small of a project to bring in a paint crew. So we needed to have something that would take care of this on just a small scale that we were working. So lots of small projects over multiple years. Our pipelines inside facilities looked like a Holstein cow, just bare spots all over. So started looking very, very ratty. So come in and started addressing these areas with this Resinox. It's a softer paint. It's not your hard epoxy, but it's worked very well for us. We did have one area where we bought a facility. It had a couple good sections of what I'm going to call bare pipe, and the facility was going to be painted in a couple years. So we went through and just put this Resinox coating on the bare pipe, and they come in a couple years to water blast the whole facility in preparation for painting. And I really wanted to see how this stuff, if it held or if it'd all be blown off with the power washing. And no, that stuff held up. It stuck right to the pipe all the way through the water blasting. So right there's testament for me that this is good stuff.
That's great stuff, Jeff. And I don't claim to remember exactly when you started ordering the Resinox, but I know it's been at least 10 years, if not 15 years, because I think it was shortly after we met at the Purdue Corrosion Short Course, which is now in Fort Wayne, Indiana, at the end of February. Does that sound about right to you?
Yeah, well, we did that project on a propane tank in Toledo. That's my recollection, but the years all run together anymore. I'm gonna say 15 years or better.
Okay, yeah, I actually forgot about that Toledo propane tank where you use the Resinox along with some viscoelastic, I believe.
Yeah.
Great. Have you been back to that site? Has that held up?
Yeah, it looks as good as the day we installed it. Nothing's degraded on it at all. So yeah, very happy with that as well.
That's excellent to hear. And Jeff, out of curiosity, how's the single component pop the top and go aspect of Resinox compared to having to mix up a zinc-rich primer, epoxy mid coat, and a polyurethane top coat for maintenance coating?
Well, and that's the beauty of it. It's simple to use, water cleanup. They come in big. Are they 7-gallon buckets, Doug?
They're close to 5.5. Technically, they're 20 liters, which is 5.3 gallons.
We get a bunch of gallon plastic pails with lids, and we divvy the paint up, and everybody takes a little bit and go along. And I know prior to audits, we go through areas and get caught up on stuff and make it look a whole lot better. And I don't know. It's one of those things. I was just on an audit this past fall, and some of the areas that we didn't get in to touch up. I could tell you exactly what was done in every facility we walked because, maybe it's not bare stuff, but, they had to take a fitting off. They used a pipe wrench, which is fine. But when you're done, it's kind of like golfing, you get in the trap, you got to cover your tracks on the way out. And yeah, I could see every piece of equipment they worked on, I could tell you, because it left a trail of bear marks on the pipe. And they might have replaced fittings and put bear on. And I get it, we have a lot of maintenance activities in the wintertime where you can't paint, but you really need to go through these facilities just once a year. Do it in the summertime when it's nice to paint and walk through. And yeah, and so many hours it doesn't take a whole lot to cover a lot of this stuff, just your typical maintenance upkeep. But regulators, when they don't find anything glaring at them in the face that's bare that needs painted, it goes a long way. So I am working to implement that into our practices throughout. That once a year, every facility gets walked down, and somebody with a paintbrush and a bucket of paint can touch up. Now you get stuff that's bigger than you can handle. That's a different story. But just going through one day a year in the summertime and taking a look at what's been done.
No,
If you
that's
keep
great.
up, if you keep up on it, you're not going to have to spend multiple days. Really within a matter of hours, you should be done.
Okay, so it cures pretty fast in your experience, is what you're saying.
Yeah.
Great. And how many coats would you say you put on a bare spot?
Uh, Mainly two.
Okay.
Sometimes you might have to go more, but for the most part, two. And a lot. If we're just doing touch up, we're not doing water blast either. We're just going in with some hand tool surface prep, wipe it clean, and put the coating on.
Okay, so like a wire brush or
Yeah.
something.
Yeah.
Okay, great. So it works well for maintenance projects. I know we coated the whole tank there in Toledo, but what would you say was the biggest project you've done with the Resinox so far?
Uh, like I said, we had a facility. We had a couple bare pipes. When I say couple, we probably had 80 feet of it. We had to cover 80 feet of two pipes in a facility.
Okay. And how long would you say that took to cover 80 linear feet of piping?
Oh boy, I don't know for sure. I'm gonna say probably a day and a half.
Okay, so reasonable amount of time it sounds like.
Yeah.
And how would you say Resinox 555 is integrated into your workflow to make maintenance, corrosion protection easier for you and your company?
Well, our standards before was the epoxy to where bare minimum you had a water blast, and then you got your primer, your base coat, and your top coat. You got three coats to go through. When you can go from three coats to two coats, and two coats go pretty quick.
Okay, so let's worry about
That's a big time savings.
big time savings. Great.
And we're doing maintenance stuff with it. Not doing a whole facility of painting, and it's just brush stuff. I've never tried to spray it. You might have experience with that, Doug.
It does spray nicely. You just need to make sure you have the right tip and the right spray equipment. But being single component, you don't need heated plural sprayers or anything like that. Conventional spray equipment works fine,
Okay.
which is great. In fact, it sounds like you do a lot of what the Blue Water Bridge was doing with this product before they blasted off all their old coatings and put on a new coating. They were using it for maintenance as well for many years there. It looks like we got a variety of owners and operators as well as a few contractors on the call. For those that are considering trying it out, Jeff, what would you tell people as far as from a customer standpoint? What are some of
Well, when you can go from three coats to two coats, that's right there is a 30% cost savings. When I'm talking cost savings, I'm talking the labor to do it, which is your major cost, so
Sure.
that's a big selling factor for us. It's a soft coating. It's not hard. It's not it lasts. It amazes me because
Great.
I figured it would break down quicker, being it's softer, but it stays very well adhered to the stuff.
Good to hear. And next time I see you, Jeff, I'll have to show you a picture of me at the um, main bridge at Zug Island, which I call Corrosion Triangle because it's near a coke oven battery plant, North America's largest wastewater treatment plant, and a refinery and another steel mill. So quite the C5I heavy industrial environment. And the picture I have of me is like 16, 17 years later. So it's
Okay.
held up. And you mentioned it's a soft coating. So what what people find is if trucks are hitting the coating as they're crossing the bridge, it will scrape off on you. But outside of that, the bridge looks pretty good. And Chris, why don't we open it up for questions with the last 3, 4 minutes we have? Because I see we have a Chad Leventhal on the call, and I saw Clint Schroeder and Darren Hartman. So if you guys have some questions for Jeff, this would be great.
Mics are open now, so anybody that has any questions, feel free to raise your hand or open up your mic and ask away.
And George, don't be bashful. I see you're on the call too. And I heard recently that it takes about 18 seconds for you to think of a question. So feel free to take your full 18 to 25 seconds and jot down one question you might have for Jeff or myself. Chad, it looks
what
like.
color?
Yeah,
What
go ahead,
colors does
Chad.
it come in? Yeah, what colors does it come in?
Well, Jeff uses mostly white. Is that correct, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. We do stock a black and a gray, and we're open to colors that other people would want to start stocking. But being a maintenance coating, it seems white, gray, and black cover a lot of areas. And Chad, one thing, it's going to be more of a matte finish versus a gloss finish. Is that how you describe it, Jeff?
Yeah.
Okay. So it's not the coating if you need a shiny finish.
Hey Doug, it's George with
Hey,
Viking.
George.
So question. So what is the surface prep involved? Just simply wire brushing? Or you power
Jeff,
wash
you want
it
to
and
answer
then
that? Since you've been using it for 15 years?
Yeah. Yeah, we've just hand surface press wire brush.
okay.
And
then-
George, you're close to Zug Island where you're at in downriver area. Now keep in mind if you ever go past that bridge, after 17 years, it does need touching up. So it doesn't look as pretty as it did 10, 15 years ago.
Okay, will do.
Yeah.
And once you pop it open, what's the pot life on the kit?
Jeff, you want to answer that?
Oh, I'm gonna say got about 8 months.
Oh, okay. So you can reseal it and then use it
Oh,
later,
yeah.
basically. Okay.
It'll get a film on the top that you got to pick out and throw away, but yeah, it holds up pretty good. It doesn't separate like a lot of stuff does.
And can you top coat it with anything?
That's a question for
Yeah,
Doug.
yeah, I'll answer that. George, it's primarily corrosion coating. I would probably stick with an acrylic coating if you're going to top coat it. And we have some products called Eco Shield 386 that we can customize more in a gloss color. if you're looking for a color match or something of that nature.
One other thing we forgot on this, Doug, is
Yeah.
this paint has, and you're going to have to quote the elasticity on this paint. It won't chip or crack from movement, and I haven't used it, but you said it can be used for like sealing tank. When you put on the Viscotac to seal tank chimes, which is going from steel to concrete, it can be painted over the top of that felt back Viscotac.
No, that's a great point, Jeff. George, depending on the temperatures, it has about 200 to 240% elongation characteristics. So some people are even using it to coat tank roofs with the idea these big tanks have a lot of movement between cold winters and warm and hot summers.
We used a Viscotac along with the Resinox. We had a propane bullet, and they had the saddles was poured concrete, and they set the tank there, and we needed to seal that area from where it goes from the concrete saddle to the steel. So we used the Viscotac, and then we painted that. We did that 15 years ago, guessing, and it looks as good as the day we put it on. And you got all the weathering, the frost, everything, and looks good as the day we installed it. No cracking, chipping, anything of the sort.
Yep, no, that makes sense. And on a side note, for those of you that have hunting cabins, it's not a bad roof patch, although we make a product specifically for that called 550. Great.
Right. Any
Quinn,
other
how
questions?
about over there in
Oh, sorry.
Lima?
What was that?
Oh, I was asking Clint Schroeder if he wanted to ask any questions.
Okay.
Nothing right now. Just taking it all in.
Okay, no worries. Looking forward to seeing you here in February later on.
Yeah, sounds good.
Great. Okay. Well, Jeff, we really appreciate you joining, and we appreciate your business as a customer, and thank you so much for sharing with other customers that we have.